Hello everybody, we are here back again with Talk with Tausi Likokola, and today I wanted to speak something close to my heart, which involves dual citizenship or special status that Tanzanian government is offering to diaspora. This situation has been going on for years. I'll take you back to 20 plus years when I lived in Germany. I had very good conversation with then ambassadors, Tanzanian ambassador to Germany, which was Ambassador Karume, and then also later I spoke with Ambassador Daraja, rest in peace. Ambassador Daraja even went to, the late Ambassador Daraja went to Washington, D.C. So when I was coming to United States of America, I exchanged a little bit idea and conversation. These are people that I was in touch with. And fast forward, now we are in 2024 and it hasn't yet resolved to possibility for Tanzanian born individuals who live overseas to get their dual citizenship, like maybe other countries. So in 2023, I went to Dodoma. I visited a special office for that the government has formed dealing with diaspora issues, and I asked again questions, and they told me instead of dual citizenship, they are having what it's going to be called special status.
Asante ya Mama Samia kwa diaspora wake ni moja tu, akasema na nyinyi wenyewe mlisikia, anasema kwamba nataka nitengeneze mazingira zaidi ya kisera na ya kisheria yatakayohakikisha diaspora wote wenye asili ya Tanzania popote walipo ulimwenguni wanapata fursa zaidi ya kujiona Tanzania ni nyumbani na ya kutuona sisi kama serikali tumewatambua.
And I remember even getting a lot of backlash from some of diaspora that wants their birthright, dual citizenship, and no any other option. I'm the kind of person that will sit down and have a conversation and also get ideas just to kind of like move forward. Like, one should always have space to be able to sit on the table and hear what is happening or what can be done. And I think that's what I did. And I continue to make inquiries. Even, you know, here in United States of America, I have friends that some of them we went way back since we were at school together, like my classmate, former classmate, Jackson Munuo, that I will interview today. And Jackson Munuo, well, we sat very close when we were at school, so we've kept in touch over the years. And I remember him being a very, very smart individual, so I do respect his input. And I asked him, because he has lived overseas like me for many, many years. So I asked him, what are your thoughts about this situation, about dual citizenship, special status? I mean, we spoke not only about dual citizenship or special status that the government want to offer for diaspora, but we also spoke about a lot of other things that are happening in the country. So I will let him introduce himself, and it's his place also to answer this question about dual citizenship or special status. Okay, so for my listeners, I know you, but go ahead please and introduce yourself with your credentials and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hello everyone. My name is Jackson Munuo, and I'm a Tanzanian living in Springfield, Illinois. So Springfield is located 3 hours south of Chicago. I moved down here 14 years ago. I used to be in the Chicagoland area. I still work in Chicago. I had to move here down for, because my wife did take a local job here and the whole family relocated. So I've been up and down between Chicago and Springfield. So I did move to the United States over 31 years ago after the military. Back then, when you finished high school, you would go to the military and then, national service, you serve the national service and then you can go to, University of Dar es Salaam because that was the only university at the time. For some of us, we went overseas. So I came to United States and I've been here since then. So I went to school, did my bachelor degree here in computer information systems. And I started working after my bachelor degree and then I went back to school, did an MBA or Master's in Business Administration with a focus in technology management. So I started in banking, worked for about 7 years or so, went into consulting, worked there, and my focus is really in IT, and then so I've been in IT all these years. Now focus more in cybersecurity, and I did go back to school a few years ago and finished my PhD in cybersecurity analytics. I am a vice president for a very large organization based in Chicago. It's an global insurance company. I have responsibilities of, a team that I lead has responsibility across the globe. So I sometimes get to travel to different places and work with my colleagues in those countries. So from my early years in Tanzania, obviously Tanga, where you and I met and spent time in those years, and then moving into United States. I've been going back and forth between United States and Tanzania. I love my country, so I do go home at least annually. If I can do it twice, I sometimes do it. But yeah, I'm based here in Springfield. I'm a father of two. So my son is a freshman in college in Tanzania. They'll say university, right? So he just started university not a couple of weeks ago, just a month ago. And then my daughter, she's a senior in high school. She'll be going to college next year. And my wife is a physician or a doctor at a local hospital here and teaches at a university, medical students. That's what she teaches. And so we're in Central Illinois, and I don't know what else to say, but that's pretty much my background.
Wonderful. It's so nice to hear you're doing well. You have, from the time we were classmates, Usagara, Tanga, and the same thing that you are saying. I think that the year I was in the last group before they were going to go to the JKT. So right. I was also supposed to go, and somehow I found myself in Finland, and then from Finland, Germany, and then, got myself from the university, runway, the history, fashion, and then the rest is history. So
right. Very good. Very good. It's interesting because I do remember one time visiting Tanzania. This was in the early, maybe mid 90s.
Yes.
Either it was 95 or 96. And I met you in Tanzania. You had just returned from Germany.
Okay.
And then I was in Tanzania I had returned from Chicago. And I saw at that time, I remember there was it's a Nasako building, if you remember that. And there was a place where they rented out video cassettes back in those days. So I met you outside and I was like, what are you up to? And you're like, I'm in Germany. I was like, oh, and I'm in US. And it was a brief conversation, but it's been many, many years. So it's great to see you again.
Yes, great to see. Now we are here in the States. And, there's a lot that we can talk to help one another here, but also help home and just building conversation and exchanging ideas and so forth. So yeah, how is it feeling first to be me, Najua, on my side, but I want to know from you, how does it feel as Tanzanian to live in a completely different culture, in a completely different world? How does it feel family-wise, community-wise? Because we differ. Yeah.
We're different. And I'm reminded quite a bit whenever I go home. In Tanzania, I mean, we tend to be very close, right?
Yes.
So you have cousins, you have, for good or for better or worse, my siblings are all in North America. So my brother is in DC, and then my sister in Toronto, Canada, and then my only one other brother is in Tanzania. So when I go home, I meet a lot of cousins, right? And because of our culture, all those extended family members are very close to me, and and then you have friends and stuff like that. So all these people embrace you whenever you go back, and you have quite a bit of good time. And then you come to the US. A lot of it's your immediate family, maybe a few friends that you have, but for the most part, it's a very, I'll say, secluded lifestyle.
Yes.
Not as interactive as in Tanzania. So there's that cultural difference between Tanzania and here. I do, when I can, I do get together with my fellow Tanzanians that live in the United States. But that's, everybody's so busy. You're not gonna, have the same thing as you have, back home. So it's a little bit different,
Yes, I agree with you. We have so much that we miss from home, as uncles are there, cousins are there, extended family, and the support that actually come with that. So so definitely. But then we found support system, and we found each other. We went to school together, and then we do have Diaspora, something that I would like us to talk a little bit. I'm not so much engaged in Tanzanian diaspora activities, but I try every now and then to educate myself of what's going on in our community here in the States as well. Reading, now we have the social media, and it's such a huge outlet to get information and communicate. So tell me about Tanzanians diaspora community that you are part of.
Yeah, so in Chicago, actually, I was one of the founding members, and maybe the Chicago, community organization was the very first one in US to be set up, because we did help a lot of other, states to set up their associations. So, for instance, in Minnesota, once we had our Chicago, association registered, the Tanzanians that live in the Midwest registered. Then we help the folks in Minnesota. We help the people in Houston, Texas. So I was one of those very few Tanzanians, I think, blessed and to have an opportunity to set up an organization like that. So through that kind of organization, I was able to meet and work with the folks from a number of states. At that time, actually, the populations of Tanzanians in North America, or US in particular, I think was much smaller than it is today. So a lot of what I can, characterize many of the people that I've been engaging with, very well-educated people, employed, people from, all kind of backgrounds, different, industries, whether it's in healthcare, IT, and other areas of, careers, right? They've come here, they went to school and did well for themselves. But we also have the younger generations that are, have recently moved to the United States. They're in schools and stuff like that. So we make this large community. And for those who tend to stay here, they start families here, either with fellow Tanzanians or marry Americans or folks from other, countries. So I think we're very, say, close. The community in Chicago, very close community. We work well together. Whenever there are events, that are either, weddings,
Okay.
people graduating
Okay.
from colleges or high schools, unfortunately, sometimes we have death in communities. We work together to make sure that either we transport the body home for burial, or we do those burial services here in the United States. So yeah, we've been working very well together.
Okay, that's wonderful. Like, wonderful to have a piece of home here, that you can, like you
Absolutely.
say, you can celebrate, but you can also mourn together. You can work different issues together. And well, we all love I'm yani mimi Tanzania in heart.
Yeah.
I can see you're wearing up a t-shirt with African map hapo. I have my
Absolutely.
African here, over here. I have my,
Yes.
Bengals with our Tanzanian flag. I mean, we are, in our hearts, we carry home in our hearts in one way or
We
another.
do.
So going to Tanzania back to back, 20 plus years since I was in Germany, I was very actively involved with our ambassadors. I was involved with a different non-for-profit organization helping, and at that time I did try to question about dual citizenship, and I think it's a big thing. So I would like to maybe hear from you, because we keep on. I mean, I've visited and I've tried to get information. I was told it's very difficult, to not possible to be done. To now they are talking about special status, and I was, willing to sit down and hear what's all this and how it's going to really be beneficial for Tanzanian in diaspora. That I believe we contribute a lot also to our motherland. So please, maybe, because you sit there and you talk, let me know what are the other Tanzanians here in diaspora talking or saying about dual citizenship, or special status that the government is offering or is preparing or is trying to launch. Please talk about that.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and one that obviously brings a lot of passions.
Yeah.
For people who lives in in the diaspora communities from Tanzania. So what I would say is this: I mean, there are tons of benefits. Continue to be linked back to our homeland, right?
Yeah.
And continue to help. I mean, Tanzania is not it's not a unique in that aspect, because if you look at Israel and many other countries around the world, they did not develop as quickly as they did until they had a huge diaspora community helping the homeland, right? And getting those countries to be where they are right now. China, same thing. I remember in the 90s, China was bringing a lot of students here in America to just learn and take that knowledge back home, right? And those who stayed here, I'm sure they continue to contribute. So we're not in a very unique position from that aspect. There's a lot that we can contribute to our country.
Yeah.
When it comes to dual citizenship versus special status, I would declare the fact that I'm a big fan of dual citizenship, because in my mind, when you hold dual citizenship, not only that you can participate fully in the country that you reside, but also being able to participate fully in the where you came from. So we're all from Tanzania. We would to be able to invest without worrying, given the historical nature of our politics. Sometimes some of us who would like to do bigger things in Tanzania, we're hesitant because we know people in the past have invested, lost the property and stuff like that, right? So you know, these are things that you want to be able to do and pass on to your, you know, kids.
Next
So as I
generation,
mentioned,
yes, definitely.
yeah, yeah, early on, I have 2 children.
Yeah.
I don't want to just put a ton of money in Tanzania and then, you know, God forbid I pass away and those resources are gone. While those are things that I can do here and my
Yeah.
children can benefit here. But then the kids, you know, other people in Tanzania cannot benefit from the same investments that I could do at home. So I feel very strongly that dual citizenship is the way to go. Special status has some limitation, and it's very hard for me to support something that takes away my birth rights. You know, I was born in Tanzania.
Yeah.
You can only be born in one country,
Yes.
you know, and not multiple. So it's very difficult for me to comprehend those who support. I get it. You know, some people think that's a bridge to
yes.
you know, dual citizenship, but I do not believe. I mean, I haven't seen country that start with special status and then end up, you know, with dual citizenship. So to me, I strongly believe, as I said, dual citizenship. Like you, I've done a number of things in Tanzania, whether it's, you know, giving resources to schools to help the students there. I know a number of friends who have contributed in medical fields. I've tried actually to contribute, you know, medical equipment to a local hospital near my village in Moshi. You know, I've done a number of things. You know, even taking friends and colleagues from United States to go to Tanzania and do different things there. Trying to help universities like University of Mandela, Nelson Mandela in Arusha and other places, but unfortunately they were not willing partners on that side to actually work with us on the stuff that we wanted to do. So there are many opportunities that the people in diaspora can, you know, bring home and really continue to, you know, bring up the economy there and help a lot of people. As you know, in Tanzania, there are a lot of young people who are, you know, underemployed or unemployed at all, right? These are kids who are graduating from college, and if they're not well connected, they ended up on streets selling clothes, and that's tough to see. But if properly utilize the resources that we have in diaspora, working with other people here, we have a huge, you know, African American community. This is a community that we can tap into. They're very, you know, people that I know very well. I'll say they're wealth people that they can go and invest in countries like Tanzania. They do a lot in Ghana and other places. You know, West African countries. There's no reason they could not do this in Tanzania. So to create employment and bring skills that are currently not there, right? So to me, that's where I see the benefits from both sides, where, you know, the country can gain quite a bit from the people who have lived in and, you know, done things like you and I have tons of experience living in
overseas. That's right. And you talking about the employment for young people would have been my next question. But so I will go back to that, but I wanted to elaborate just a little bit of what I have learned and I've heard from you, and probably on the talk between Tanzanian in diaspora on the dual citizenship and the importance of it, because it's your birthright, and also it is remove all the other limitation. Like you want to feel at home. You want to feel like, oh, not this, then I'll be kicked out. Oh, not this, then this will be taken out. It just gives more of a security that a dual citizen, I was born here and I am one of you. So that's what I got it from you, that you're standing on the dual citizenship because it's your birthright, and it's more of a security for you, and it's equally benefit, because once you have security, once you know that, oh, I have two homes, you're gonna work on creating a better area and a better bridge for both two homes. Like I have my home in Tanzania and I have my home here in the States. So I, I mean, we are in a retirement age, so to say. And it can be very frustrating to start some business at home. I have tried a few times because that's where my heart is, and sometimes I have to stop. And then there are some things sometimes I try to go and push and get hope, like, okay, we have a government that will support, or we have a new person, or we have, and then we seems like sometimes we put 2 feet forward, and then comes something and takes us 3 steps backward. So definitely a dual citizenship is a conversation that need to continue, and I hope that the Tanzanian government will understand that this is what diasporas are thinking. And I mean, a few months ago I was in Tanzania, and I think I share with you a little bit of my clip from my documentary. I went to the parliament, and I also went to the special task that was created for special strategists, because I've been knocking doors asking for this dual citizen, and I say, you know what, maybe this is a beginning, but then I do understand that people have doubts, like, why not give me my right? Why give me just a little bit of what is my right? So
exactly.
Back to the employment, that we all could help a lot. I mean, we're already helping, but we could help even more if the doors were more open. And you have spoken about young people. I mean, the global is really, even here in the States, things are tough. But then we have the ways to make things work, and we have ways, because of experience in life and growth and maturity, that we can pass on to the next generation. So that was my next question, that you're doing well for yourself. You're well educated. You are a leader. You are a father. You are you are all these things that many Tanzanian can be benefited from you. So for a struggling unemployed Tanzanian looking for a job right now in this global world, or even back home, or even startup business, what would your word be, or what would you advise that young man or young woman, for that matter?
Right, and I know the government is really trying, right? Is really trying to do things to help a lot of these young people. I go back when I speak with my friends, whether they're in the government. I mean, to me, what is really, because I've lived in United States, it's a capitalist country. Yeah. So I have a completely different outlook. And I've been here for a long, long time, right? Yes. So I have a completely different outlook in terms of how you create business, and how can business, what sort of an environment can business be successful? Because personally, I'm a business, leader. So I know what it takes to, build a successful business. Yes. And operate. And in Tanzania, because of our history, we were a socialist country. We still embrace that culture, which really creates a very difficult environment to create, new business. As a matter of fact, then that leads into, a lot of people, the population now, it's much bigger than what you and I experienced in our youth, right? So, which means the government really needs to create a conducive environment where you can bring in a lot of investors from outside that can help create, employment for youth, and so, and this is where you and I and many Tanzanians that live outside that can help, right? Yeah. So it's very difficult to many people who go and invest in countries outside, their home country. They always have to do a lot of research about that country. Yes. And when you take in our neighborhood, you have Kenya, you have Tanzania, you have Rwanda, you have Burundi, Congo, and Uganda, for instance. if I'm an investor, I'll have to look at those countries, understand the local politics, the local
Yes.
business environment, and figure out where I can make the most of my investments. And in Tanzania, I would say it's a tough environment just because of the historical nature. So it would be helpful, to really change that environment, and you change that environment for opening the space and allow, different ideas in terms of what it takes to build, successful business and attract, foreign investments.
Yeah.
And like I said, the government tries, but there are many layers into how things can work. And at the moment, I'm not convinced that we're doing everything we can to create a conducive environment and allow really, I would say, credible business, businesses to come and invest in Tanzania. We have investors that come either from Eastern Europe, from China, and whatever. These are like small mom and pops that come really, when you look at it, in 2 years, they close down, they turn around, sue the country, and then we end up paying a lot of companies, a lot of money to these companies, which then it's resources taken out of the country to pay a country that is already poor, to pay these companies that come and do business and then ended up suing us. So we do need to change the environment to make sure that we build a credible environment for people to come, either from North America, from Europe, Asia, whatever they can come from, and know that their businesses will be protected.
So the environment for both private sectors need to be better, and also the environment for the government environments, because there is so much lines of bureaucracy that sometimes hold things. I'm talking from experience. I'm still waiting for some paperwork and document. So anyway, so the government is trying, but they can try better and start by making the environment not only welcoming, because we can say, oh, come and do this, but assure that it's safe. Assure that the security, if I'm putting my money in it, it's gonna be safe for me to be in a long time in this in this country. I mean, things change, policies change, government officials change all the time. So it's like a big it's like a big puzzle that sometimes I'm so full of hope for the young people, for our country, for our motherland, and then sometimes I'm then disappointed sometimes, and then sometimes I'm almost, but I can just never give up on my people. That's just not how I'm done. Wow, I'm enjoying our conversation. So we can, we have talked about the employment, we have talked about diaspora, we have talked about just life in general. Talking about what's happening in Tanzania, we can't end our interview without talking about I don't even know where to start, but it's just been a lot going on. We are reading of people being abducted. I just also completed another very, very, very saddening interview of that people are being kidnapped. People are, there's a person that died. People are being killed. And it's just, again, even going back to what we were talking about the environment of the security, but also for the souls of the people. I mean, it seems like people are living in fear. People are, just let's talk about that. What are your thoughts about what is? I'm being emotional, and when I'm emotional, sometimes I write a lot because that's how I express myself. Or I'm just being very emotional. I will try to call whoever is in charge, like
Yeah.
ask hard question like, why is this happening to once a very, very peaceful country? So maybe if you can weigh on that issue.
Yeah. It is a tough one,
Yeah.
especially for anyone who closely monitors and be hopeful, right,
Yeah.
for a better country.
Yeah.
And many of us who live in the, in the diaspora, we love our country. So
Yes.
for that reason, we monitor everything that goes on in Tanzania and hope for the best, right? But we also want to help and make sure that the right things are being done. You cannot have a conducive business environment if the security is not there. And the decision makers do need to constantly remember that. And, I think as a country, we tend to confuse peace and stability with when they're talking about peace in Tanzania, they're talking about, forcing people not to say anything or do anything, and that's a peaceful environment, and that's not peace. I mean, to me, it's just fear. It's nothing else. So I share a lot of these things that you feel because I do feel them myself, and I get extremely frustrated, and I express my feelings, in different platforms and, friends that I have, and just trying to see how can we help our country overcome some of these things, because to me, every life is so precious. To lose a single life is completely unacceptable, right? So the gentleman that you're speaking about today, when I woke up and read, news, this 70 years old man was abducted yesterday, and they found his body was found, pretty, it looks like it took a serious beating, and they poured some acid on him. Family members had difficult, recognizing the body. We've never had a country like that. Tanzania was known as a beacon of peace. A country that you and I grew up. I mean, everybody was your relative. Everybody was your friend.
Exactly.
It didn't matter whether they're it didn't matter whether they're Christians, they're Muslims, they're from Zanzibar, they're from the mainland, they're from this tribe, that tribe. It did not matter as long as we're all Tanzanians, regardless of the colors or whatever. We were all Tanzanians, and we support and love each other. And the people in the diaspora, we still continue to live like that. So it's always very difficult to look back home and see this country that is, is becoming, and it's really hard for people who are older, like you and I, can associate with this. So so it's a very difficult thing, and I don't know. It beats me. How do we help the country to overcome this? I think there's some egos that needs to go away, and people really need to remember why they're in public offices to start with, right? Is to serve the interest of majority of Tanzanians. And you cannot do that if all you're trying to do is intimidate and kill people. You have to listen for different opinions, because there are different opinions in terms of, looking at things, and your opinion alone or your thoughts alone cannot be the only thoughts or ideas in terms of doing things. So, I hope and pray. I'm a person of faith, and where I can, I try to talk to different people and see that how we can help the country. So this is a very, very difficult, especially today, after this gentleman was found, dead, killed. Really, he was murdered. And it looks like the government and law enforcement are very, very slow. Like I said, one life is extremely precious. If I was leading the country, I would, leave nothing unturned to find the perpetrators and bring them to justice. And when I see the government is taking hours to respond or issue statements, it's very hurting. And this gentleman, I do not know who he is. All I know, he's a Tanzanian gentleman. He had no reason to go through what he went through. A lot of young people who are being abducted, and
Yes, yes.
nobody knows their whereabouts, right?
And
Or
then
others who were injured and thrown into
yes,
places, national parks, so they can be eaten by wild
that's
animals.
very, very saddening. And you mentioned the abductions. I mean, we it's very, very important that we keep these conversations going on, because if you just stay quiet because of fear, or it will come out at a very late time frame in a different way, because humans are built or created to have opinion, created to be able to, they have rights, and we have, there are human rights that we have to learn to respect. And then when things happen, then our government to be quick to address these issues. I did a call. I called the head of police with the soccer disappearance issue, and I'm contributed to financially to some of the situations and issues. I mean, it goes way back. There is. I read something, I reach out. Where do you all need help? And this, but it cannot continue to happen. And then it's saddening. Now people are being picked up dead, tortured, and talking about Sativa situation. He survived, but then where is the task force to investigate these things and write up a report that we can say for sure Tanzania is a safe place, and the government and the police and the parliament, they all respect the human rights. They all respect, as you so well put it, each life is precious. So it's a tough one, but at least we are talking, and we are bringing awareness by talking, and hopefully also come to a point where Tanzanians will be able also to express themselves without the fear, or the UN Assembly is coming soon. I want that to wrap up with that. But when our president came to Tanzania, and she was Mama Samia was just came in power, I traveled. I was in Florida. I went to Washington to have to support the government, to support the administration, and like uzalendo, sindio. But when I got there, it was barricaded because of the demonstration. And those are the things that it will continue, because even if they will stop people from talking or demonstrating there, people elsewhere will exercise their rights. So now UN is coming, and we have a lot of issues that have not been addressed, that probably people will still want to have answers. So maybe if I ask you, let's say you are able to sit in a UN assembly where world leaders, including our leaders, supposedly, will come together and just talk on how we can make this world a better place. Ianzie nyumbani, sindio? So maybe what would you give, or what would you advise or say if you had an opinion to talk to a leader?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the same stuff we've been talking about, whether it's you're talking about youth employment or unemployment, for that matter, or underemployment.
Yeah.
Whether it comes to security of everyone, and just truly peace. All these things, you need an environment where, whether it's, as I said earlier, investors can feel, they're coming there, their investments will be protected. Nobody comes for just charity. When it's a business, they're coming there to invest so they can get something in return. And you need, as a government, you need to build an environment. As a leader, you have to constantly understand you're there to serve the people.
Yes.
And you cannot serve the people if you don't create that environment where, youth can be employed, opportunities can be, wide and available to all people, not only the well-connected, right?
Yes.
So to me, I would say, and I would urge the leaders that are there now in Tanzania and those who are aspiring to be in leadership positions to really make sure that, when you're becoming a leader, it's not about you and your family. It's about everybody else. And you have to be there to serve the people, to create an environment that would be, helpful to them and the reason why they put you in the office in the first place. So if you're not doing those things, then you're creating an environment that you and I are talking about right now, which is not really a desirable environment. That's not environment that is very familiar for you and I when we go back to our childhood and growing up in Tanzania. So I would say to these leaders, I say, look at our, founding fathers, and how they ran the country. And yes, it was a poor country then, but everybody had an opportunity to live and the right to live and a right to contribute, right? And these are simple things. They're simple things, but it's important that our leaders understand and appreciate. At minimum, that's all what everybody's asking for, to just have a peace, have the ability to put food on the table for their families, right? And then being able to feel security.
Shelter, and, if you're sick, to be able to be treated, everything that we wish for us and our children, others also want. And there is enough for everybody if we all get the share of the pie.
And Tanzania is a very, you and I have discussed this stuff, not in this interview, but it's a very wealthy country.
Yes.
I mean, there's enough there for everybody to live a very good life. It's just, the government and the leaders to make sure that they create that environment where everybody can benefit. So these are the things that I would hope that they talk about, and they come up with strategy, and not only strategy in paper, but actually implement and make sure that environment is there and everybody benefits for being in Tanzania.
Okay, so we have heard Jackson Munuo, who sits also in an organization that many Tanzanian born individuals here in the United States usually meet, and as you have heard him, do things together. And his thought, as he say himself, represent thoughts of many Tanzanians, that they would like to see the Tanzanian government recognize them as Tanzanians with the second passport, which means dual citizenship and not special status. But you have a chance also to discuss. I would like my space, Talk with Tausi Likokola, to be an open space for others also to put their input. So what are your thoughts?